I moved my salary to a new car. Hours later, my wife and her daughter showed up furious. I should have known something was wrong the moment my phone started vibrating non-stop in the dealership parking lot. 3 missed calls, 2 messages, and a photo of my own driveway, empty. At first, I thought it was a mistake. But then her text came through. "What did you do?" That was the exact moment my chest tightened, not from guilt, but from the quiet realization that something I worked years for had just become a battlefield. I never thought buying a car would feel like betrayal. For 15 years, I've woken up at 5:30 every morning. Same alarm tone, same routine, coffee before sunrise, commute before traffic. I wasn't chasing luxury, I wasn't chasing status, I was chasing stability. For us, for my wife, Samira, and for her daughter, Alina. Alina was only 8 when I met her. Small hands, quiet voice, always standing slightly behind her mother like she wasn't sure she was allowed to take up space. Her biological father had left early, birthdays missed, school events ignored. When Samira and I got serious, I made a promise to myself before I made one to her. If I step into this life, I step in fully. And I did. I helped with homework, sat in uncomfortable school auditoriums for winter plays, taught her how to ride a bike in the parking lot behind our apartment. The first time she called me Dad, it wasn't dramatic. It was casual, absent-minded, but it hit me harder than anything. Samira cried that night. She said I was the most loyal man she'd ever known. And for years, I believed she meant it. Money was always a sensitive subject in our house. Not because we didn't have enough, but because we never seemed to agree on what enough meant. I'm careful, I plan, I save. Samira believes in enjoying the moment. We can't take money with us, she'd say, usually after ordering something expensive online or booking spontaneous weekend trips. At first, I admired that about her. She brought color into my structured, gray life. But over time, the spending became heavier. New furniture when the old one was fine. Designer handbags she insisted were investments. Upgrades, subscriptions, renovation ideas that never fully finished. Every time I brought up budgeting, the conversation ended the same way. "You don't trust me." It wasn't about trust, it was about peace of mind. Last year, I quietly started setting aside a portion of my salary into a separate savings account. Not secretly, she knew it existed, but she didn't pay much attention. It was labeled future. That's all. What she didn't know was what that future meant to me. For 12 years, I drove the same sedan. Reliable, boring, safe. It got us everywhere we needed to go. But lately, the repairs were stacking up. The mechanic started saying things like, "It might not be worth fixing next time." And every time I drove home, I imagined being stranded on a highway somewhere, Alina in the backseat, Samira anxious beside me. So I started researching. I wasn't looking for flashy. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wanted something dependable, something solid, something that felt like progress after years of discipline. 3 months ago, I found it. A deep graphite SUV. Clean lines. Quiet engine, roomy enough for road trips Alina always talked about, the mountains, the coast, places we kept postponing. I didn't buy it impulsively. I visited the dealership 4 times. Ran numbers. Slept on it. Double-checked the savings. It wouldn't hurt us. Not long term. In fact, I thought it symbolized something good. Stability. Growth. A reward for patience. The morning I made the transfer, my hands were steady. Years of overtime shifts. Skipped vacations, delayed personal wants, all of it condensed into one click. The bank confirmation felt surreal. I didn't tell Samira immediately. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because I wanted it to be a surprise. A positive one. That was my first mistake. By noon, the paperwork was signed. By 2 p.m., I was sitting in the driver's seat for the first time. That new car sent the quiet hum of the engine. I rested my hands on the steering wheel and just breathed. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself. Not because it was expensive, but because I earned it without debt, without chaos, without risking our future. I imagined driving home slowly, parking in the driveway, calling Samira outside, watching her initial shock turn into a smile. I imagined Alina asking if we could take it for a ride around the block. That's the version of the afternoon I carried in my head. But life rarely follows imagination. The first missed call came while I was adjusting the mirrors. Then another. Samira never calls repeatedly unless something's wrong. I stepped out of the car and checked my messages. Why is the account empty? Did you move the money? Answer me. My stomach dropped. I called her back immediately. She didn't pick up. Instead, another message appeared. Alina saw the bank notification. That confused me. Alina didn't usually monitor accounts. Why was she even looking? I texted back, "It's okay. I bought the car. I was going to surprise you." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, "You what, dash dash dash." I drove home carefully, rehearsing calm explanations in my head. This wasn't a disaster. It was a purchase, a planned one. But when I turned onto our street, something felt off. The driveway was empty. Samira's car was gone. So was Alina's small blue scooter that usually leaned against the garage wall. I parked slowly. Before I could even step out, another message came through. "We're coming to you." Coming to me? How did she know where I was? Then I remembered. The dealership had posted a tagged photo earlier when I signed the papers. I'd smiled for it, proud, naive. My phone rang again. This time, I answered. Her voice wasn't sad. It wasn't confused. It was furious. "How could you do this without asking me?" she demanded. "I didn't think I needed permission for something we could afford," I replied carefully. "You emptied the account. It was my salary. The savings were for this. You don't make decisions alone." The line went quiet for a second, but I could hear movement. Doors closing, engine starting. Then she said something that made my hands go cold on the steering wheel. "You need to understand what you've just done. Not we'll talk about this. Not we're upset. What you've just done." And then she hung up. Dash dash dash. 40 minutes later, headlights turned into the dealership parking lot. Samira stepped out first. Alina followed behind her, not hiding this time. Not quiet. Her face was tight, older somehow. They weren't here to talk. They were here for something else. And as they walked toward me, I realized this was never about the car. It was about control. Samira stopped inches from me. Her eyes weren't just angry, they were calculating. Alina stood beside her, arms crossed. Then Samira said softly, almost calmly, "Return it, or we're done." And in that moment, I understood this wasn't a disagreement. It was an ultimatum. But what I didn't know yet was what they had already done while I was signing those papers. I moved my salary to a new car. Hours later, my wife and her daughter showed up furious. The air in that parking lot felt heavier than it should have. Samira's words didn't echo, they settled. "Return it, or we're done." Alina didn't look at me. She stared at the SUV like it was something offensive. Something reckless. I searched Samira's face for a trace of the woman who once cried when her daughter called me, Dad. I didn't find her. Instead, I saw distance. "Done," I repeated quietly. "Over a car." "It's not about the car," she snapped. And suddenly, that scared me more. Because if it wasn't about the car, then it was about something much deeper, something I had clearly missed. "I didn't empty our life savings," I said carefully. "I used the account I built. The one we agreed was for the future." "You don't get to decide what the future looks like," she replied. That sentence hit harder than she intended. Not because it was loud, but because it was honest. For years, I thought I was building stability for us. But maybe in her mind, stability meant access. Shared control. Or maybe something else entirely. Alina finally spoke. "You didn't even ask Mom." Her voice wasn't angry, it was rehearsed. That's when the first red flag from earlier clicked into place. The bank notification. Why had Alina seen it first? Why had she been monitoring it? And why did this feel coordinated? "Can we just talk about this at home?" I asked. Samira shook her head. "There won't be a home if you don't fix this." Fix this. Like I had broken something. I looked at the SUV, at the years of quiet sacrifice it represented. The overtime shifts, the cancelled plans, the careful budgeting when they wanted something extra, and I said, "Next month." Every decision I made was for them. But standing there, I felt like an outsider in my own life. "What's really going on?" I asked softly. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered across Samira's face. Hesitation. Then she straightened. "You moved money without consulting me. That tells me everything I need to know." "No," I replied. "It tells you I made one decision for myself." The silence that followed was sharper than any argument. Because that was the truth neither of us had said out loud before. For 15 years, I had made decisions for us. And maybe, somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to choose something just for me. Samira pulled out her phone. You have 1 hour, she said calmly. Call them, reverse it, and if I don't. Her eyes didn't waver. Then we're not coming back. Not I'm not coming back. We're not coming back. Alina's silence suddenly felt heavier. I looked at her. Is that what you want? She finally met my eyes, and for a split second, I saw something familiar. Uncertainty. Conflict. But it disappeared quickly. You always say family comes first, she said. Prove it. That sentence broke something inside me. Because I realized, they believed this was a test of loyalty. And I was the only one being tested. I didn't call the dealership. Instead, I asked a question I probably should have asked years ago. If I return it, I said slowly, what happens next? Samira frowned. What do you mean? I mean, does everything go back to normal? Or is there another condition later? Another account? Another decision I'm not allowed to make? Her jaw tightened. You're twisting this. No, I said quietly. I'm finally understanding it. The tension shifted. This wasn't about the car. It was about independence. And for the first time, I was standing still instead of apologizing. Minutes passed. The sun dipped lower. Other customers walked by, glancing at us, sensing something was off. Samira lowered her voice. You embarrassed me. That caught me off guard. How? My sister saw the dealership post. She called me asking why I didn't know about it. There it was. Not fear. Not financial concern. Control. Image. I exhaled slowly. So this is about how it looked. It's about partnership. She insisted. But her tone lacked conviction now. Alina shifted beside her. And that's when I saw it. Her phone screen lit up briefly in her hand. A message preview. From a name I didn't recognize. And the words, did he do it? My stomach turned cold. Did he do it? Who was that? And why did someone else care whether I bought a car? I stepped back slightly. Who's asking if I did it? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Alina quickly locked her phone. No one. Samira's eyes flickered toward her daughter, just for a second. That look said everything. This wasn't spontaneous anger. This was planned. The bank notification, the immediate reaction, the ultimatum. Someone had been watching, advising, waiting. Is there something you want to tell me? I asked Samira quietly. She hesitated, and in that hesitation, 15 years replayed in my mind. Every time I compromised, every time I adjusted, every time I convinced myself love meant giving more. Return the car, she repeated. But her voice wasn't as strong now. Because she knew I had seen it. The cracks. I'm not returning it, I said finally. The words surprised even me. Not because they were aggressive, but because they were firm. Samira's expression changed completely. Not anger this time, panic. You're choosing a car over your family. No, I replied calmly. I'm choosing self-respect. Alina looked shaken. This isn't you, she whispered. And maybe she was right. Maybe this was the version of me that had been buried under compromise for years. Samira stepped closer. If you walk away from this, she said quietly, there's no coming back. I held her gaze. For years, I said softly, I thought love meant proving myself over and over again. The parking lot felt silent. But love shouldn't feel like a test. For a moment, none of us moved. Then Samira grabbed Alina's hand. Let's go, she said. They turned toward their car. Halfway there, Alina stopped. She looked back at me. And for the first time that day, I saw tears. But not the kind that ask for forgiveness. The kind that fear something has already shifted. Something permanent. Their car pulled out of the lot. I stood alone beside the SUV. The dealership lights flickered on as evening settled in. My phone buzzed again. A new notification. Not from Samira. Not from Alina. From the bank. Joint account access updated. My heart pounded as I opened the app. The future account, the one I had used, was no longer visible. And below it, a new transaction was pending. One I hadn't authorized. And in the memo line, a name I had never seen before. That's when I realized, this was never about returning a car. It was about something far bigger. And I was only just beginning to see how deep it went. To be continued.